He is a guru of throwing.
He is the nutty scientist that I believed in him, and I'm very thankful that I did.
He's got a certain level of knowledge and expectation and creativeness that he can always find ways to get me to perform at my best.
I'm just so thankful that I've had him by my side for the last 11 seasons now.
I think he's a seeker. I think he's seeking the truth.
In May of 2008, I brought this guy, 2 kids who had never heard of baseball, couldn't pitch, were just terrible. November 24th of 2008, they both signed pro contracts with the Pittsburgh Pirates. If he's not the best pitching coach that ever lived, I don't know who is.
Here's the pitch by Downing. Swinging. There's a drive into left center field. Out of here. It's gone. It's 7:15.
The highlight of my major league career was catching Henry Aaron's 715th home run in the Atlanta bullpen. And that's the good news. The bad news is that's also the highlight of my baseball career. I was marginal to below average, but consistently marginal to below average. Put me in 70 ball games a year, and I'll give you a 500 record and a few saves and about a 3.20 ERA.
Tom had a career that far exceeded his ability, and that's why he was such a great teacher. His talent intellectually, for those that wore a uniform, was at the highest scale.
Never quite certain whether I'd be able to make a living playing baseball. I listened to my mom that you're going to have to use your head one of these days. Part of the things I did with the Braves is I signed for my education. If they were paying for it, I kept going to school. So I ended up getting a couple of bachelors, a couple of masters, and a PhD in psychology.
He knew he probably didn't have the best tools and was going to have the longest, strongest big league career, so there was going to be life after baseball. He planned for his future, even though he didn't know what his future was.
The object behind throwing the football is that you can't throw a football wrong mechanically and make it spiral. So there's instant feedback with every toss. If it isn't spiraling, you know that your elbow isn't as high on the plane as it should be, and you're not getting extension when you take your step.
If you talk to anybody that knew about me as a pitching coach when I was with the Rangers, they think the only thing we did was throw the football.
It was like heresy.
He was an anarchist. Guys throwing football on a baseball diamond was, for traditionalists, something that was unheard of.
How was I viewed? Probably as a little bit of an outlier, but I don't think you can throw a football wrong and make it spiral. The guys that have the best arms on the staff all throw it just like NFL quarterbacks. So to get an athlete, get a pitcher to throw a little extra and have it be functional, plus the football was a little heavier. The heavier football is a weight training device, so the combination of both really made it a real good cross-specific drill.
And so I was open-minded and started throwing the football, and I felt like I benefited from it.
It's nice to have a superstar that buys into what you do.
He did a lot of things that weren't traditional baseball type stuff, that he thought outside the box and just looked at it from a different perspective.
When we put in a weight room and pitchers were lifting weights, it was like, make sure no one knows you're lifting weights.
We started conditioning differently. Light dumbbells, elastic cords. Nolan saw that maybe this could help him and his career as he got into his golden years.
Number 6 for Nolan Ryan.
I think with his 6th no-hitter, and with his 7th no-hitter, with his 5,000th strikeout, with his 300th win, all after the age of 40, people started saying maybe they're on to something.
My first couple of years in the major leagues, I struggled mechanically because I was so tall. And I think Tom knew that. And for some reason, he reached out to me to try and correct a few things, which was kind of unheard of considering he was the pitching coach for a different team in the same division, in the same league.
We were in the Kingdome, and Nolan and I had just finished his workout, and we were sitting in the first base dugout. And Randy finished his workout, and I said, "Randy, how you doing?" He said, "I'm not doing so hot, can't throw strikes." And Nolan said, "Randy, we're going to be here tomorrow about this same time. Why don't you come by, we'll chit-chat a little bit." So Randy came the next day. We showed him a few things.
Mechanically, I was landing incorrectly on my foot. I was landing on the heel of my foot, and therefore when I was landing, I was spinning. But as soon as I started landing on the ball of my foot, it was a chain reaction. And it was a small little matter of that really turned my career around.
And about 3 weeks later, in Arlington Stadium, I think he punched out 18 of us.
I had pitched 8 innings, struck out 18. people had heard that Tom had been working with me and that was the outcome in that particular game. And I think, maybe someone in the Texas organization kind of got their feathers ruffled a little bit because I went off and had such a good game.
At the end of that 1992 season, I was actually replaced as the Major League pitching coach by Claude Osteen. But it turned out to be a blessing in disguise because it gave me more time to do what I really was passionate about, and that was chase better information and instruction and deliver it to more athletes in all sports.
And my thing was, when you saw football on the baseball field, I was always wondering why he was not applying the application to those that actually threw footballs for a living, and I think he figured that out too, so that worked out pretty well for him.
Cam Cameron called and said, hey look, I've got an interesting kid, Drew Brees, that I'd like to have you talk to him about some mental emotional stuff and maybe about some nutritional stuff.
I meet Tom House in the offseason of 2004, end up having a very good 2004 season, made the Pro Bowl. In my mind, I'm thinking, I'm going to be the starting quarterback for this team for a long time. I'm going to win championships here, going to make Pro Bowls here, going to be a great player here for a long time. And all of a sudden, going into the last game of the season, in which I did not have a contract that offseason, but was hoping to sign a long-term deal that would keep me there forever, I seriously injured my shoulder. About the worst thing that could happen to a thrower. And I remember coming off the field just thinking, not only am I not going to put a Charger uniform on, I might not play football again.
Dr. Andrews put him back together, and then I got involved with the rehab. We went through with what I call performance rehab, where we just started taking functional movement for quarterbacking as best we knew it. And one thing led to another, and all of a sudden he's throwing the ball farther than he's ever thrown and more accurately than he's ever thrown.
There was no doubt in my mind at that moment that I was going to come back better than ever, and Tom was a huge part of that. He helped instill so much of that confidence and belief in me, because I would not be where I am today without Tom House.
Drew Brees is one of those special people. I rate him up there with the Nolan Ryans and the Randy Johnsons because he's a quality kid that is humble and hungry, always looking to get better, and he shares with his peer group.
Tom Brady, Carson, Alex Smith. I've talked to all those guys about Tom House and all the ways that he can help them just like he's helped me.
I met with Drew last year when he was out there working out with Tom. I think it's always for all of us quarterbacks trying to find really a different way to get an edge. And then when you find someone that you really like and you connect with and you can see the success, it brings you a lot of confidence.
When you ask why do a Tom Brady or a Drew Brees come by to work with me or us, I think it's because it's authentically delivered real information with no strings attached.
Stop. Where's your arm?
Outside a little bit.
Over-rotated. What do you need to do?
We try to treat them just like we treat every kid that comes through here. Unbiased information. May not be what they want to hear, but they're going to get the truth.
I'm really grateful to him. I'm grateful to the time and energy that he spends with me, and I'm lucky to have him in my life.
We should all be glad that we met Tom House. We should all be glad that he is who he is and the passion that he has and that he's willing to share.
Whether you're throwing a baseball or football or have that motion, he probably has a better understanding than anybody else.
He was a maverick, no doubt about it. He was a maverick in his time.
If you're not skiing the black diamonds, you're not falling. And if you're not falling, you're not getting better. And Tom wasn't afraid.
A guy who has always wanted to challenge conventional thought, has always wanted to take it further than it's ever gone before and really understand why things are the way they are with throwers. How can we help these guys? How can we help them be more efficient? How can we help them achieve their goals and dreams? He's there right alongside you. I mean, he is as invested and cares as much as you do. And that's what's so special about him, because all he cares about is the guys that he's able to influence. That's Tom House.
In basically a pennant race, Zimmer brings me into a game and he said, I don't give a what you do, don't give up a home run to Shambliss. He brought me in to face Shambliss. What happened before Zimmer got his little fat ass on the bench? Game over. Don't give up a home run to Shambliss. What did he put in my head? What did I do? Upper tank. Now, I was okay with it. I turned the page. My teammates were okay with it. What happened to the fans of Boston? For the next 2.5 years, now pitching for the Sox, number 29, Tom, boo, you suck.